There you go. Thank you. Okay. This lady here is Doña Clary. She's my mom, and she reversed type 2 diabetes in 2001. Yeah, that's my mom. And she turned 82 about a month ago. And she's not type 2 diabetic anymore. And she's in perfect way, although the picture doesn't do any favor to her. That's my son, okay? But this is not about my son. This is also about my dad, who passed away in 2016 due to kidney failure, due to type 2 diabetes. My mom did the change, my dad didn't. So I changed the title of my presentation because it was supposed to be the 10 biological keys of health. But I think the most important element in any transformation is the mindset. It is 83.3% of the elements for success. It's the mindset. The rest is the mechanics. And the mechanics, you can find them anywhere, in any book, in Dr. Berry's videos, for sure. So should we be talking about the mechanics or the 83.3% of influence in our results? So that's why I'm here. Because I don't want you to suffer what my dad suffered. And if he was here alive and I knew back then what I know now, I for sure would have been able to help him, and he could be alive right now. So I want to transfer that information to you because of what we have experienced with our patients. So I'm going to talk a lot about stories of people so you can relate, and maybe you can get out of this room today saying, wow, that's me, and I didn't know about it. Because I want to touch those fibers in every one of you so you never get to experience self-sabotage anymore, or at least not that frequently. Change your mindset, change your life. Moving from self-sabotage into personal freedom. I would say, what if we call this the proper human mindset? Just to steal some words from Dr. Berry. Here are the objectives for this talk in my 2 hours that I have with you. I wish I had. I'm sorry, these are not the objectives. I just wanted to touch this briefly. So there was a study to know why people don't change, why people fail. And there are 6 reasons why they don't. 5 of them are psychological, and only 1 is mechanical. So let's go through them quickly. 1, it never occurs to them that they can be healthy too. They think that's for somebody else. When, let's say, for example, they bump into a video on YouTube and they see somebody healthy and you giving advice, and they say, no, it's impossible that I can get to that point. So it never occurs to them. That's the first reason. That's completely psychological, because every one of us here can change. I promise you that. The second one is, because of that, they never make the decision to change. That's completely psychological. The third one is, if they make the decision, they start to procrastinate the moment when they start. They keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. Psychological as well. The fourth, that's the only mechanical. They get bad advice, so of course things won't work because they are not using the right strategy. Fifth, inability to delay instant gratification. This one here, psychological as well, that's self-sabotage. There you go. There you have it. The sixth one, short-term planning instead of long-term planning. Doing a diet instead of making a lifestyle change forever. Completely different. As they told us, this is the purpose we have. It's to promote a healthy, fit, happy, and free society. And The vision is to eradicate metabolic disease because we know it can be done. I have seen it hundreds of times. And we do that, even though I'm not going to talk about, this is not about the 10 biological keys of health. I'm going to go into them quickly. So this is the system that we have created. It is not we created. We took it from our forefathers and just reincorporated it back into our lives. And all of them, what they do is they decrease the inflammation levels in the body. So if you want to achieve success in terms of health, those are the things that you should look for. There are a couple more that I would like to introduce, but we can discuss them later. Sunlight, sleep, electromagnetism, the influence that electromagnetism has in our lives, how electrons coming from our mobile phones and the Wi-Fi in our houses and many other things, how they affect our system, and how being barefoot, walking in the ground can make a huge difference. This is really important. Mindset, breathing, hydration, nutrition, movement, thermotherapy, that's cold exposure, which is magic in your system, stress management. Those are the things that we teach people, and I'm not going to focus on them. I'm only going to focus on the mindset because I think that's the most important element. So here are the learning objectives, finally. What is a paradigm and how do we can change it? What are the two major drivers for change? Why we experience self-sabotage and how to break free from it? The importance of the mind-body connection, and which are the clues for success. Paradigms. We see the world not as it is, but as we are. So how are we? Well, we see reality based on our paradigms, and we're going to touch that in a moment. But it's essential to understand why we fail or why we succeed. There's an area in our brains called the reticular activating system, and basically what that means is every time you focus your mind in something, evidence start to come from everywhere to show you that that's a fact. And it can be good or it can be wrong. If you're focused on the good reality, then you get good facts. If you're focused on the bad reality, then you get bad facts. And you made bad decisions because that's your paradigm. And since you're focusing on something, that's the evidence that's shown to you. So I want to tell you about a quick story of focusing on something. I wanted to become a writer. You know, I was talking to my mom the other day, and I asked her, Mom, she's 82, right? And I asked her, before you die, it was not that I was killing her, right? Before you die, would you like to do something that you haven't done to this point? She said, yeah, I'd like to learn how to play a guitar, and I'd also like to write a book. Because somewhere I read that you should, before you die, you should write a book. Can you imagine read one book? So I hired a guitar teacher, and she's now learning how to play guitar. And I started to really focus on myself sitting on a bookstore, signing my own book. And 7 years later, that was the image. If you pay attention to my face, that's a face of joy after the realization of an ideal that I had. That was epic. That moment when I was signing the first book, that was my face, because everything came back to support what I knew is whenever you focus on something, eventually you will get the results. But you need to have something inside of you that's belief. So how do we experience extreme and incredible results? That's the basics here, a paradigm. So how do we form or we get a paradigm? It is a system of belief that is transferred to us. Do you know? Oh, here it is. A transfer of beliefs that comes from 3 different ingredients. So please remember these three different ingredients. Authority. Whenever you hear a message from an authority that you don't filter, it becomes part of your subconscious mind, and that becomes a belief. The second one, emotion, or you feel good or really bad when you hear that message. That becomes part of your subconscious mind. And the third one is repetition. Repetition, repetition, repetition. So let me go through one of the ones that might be stopping you from success. Fat is bad, and you're going to die from a heart attack if you eat saturated fat, right? Authority, the doctor. Intensity, you're going to die. Repetition, since 1955. Can you see how powerful a paradigm is? So basically, we don't do what we think we should do. We do what we have inside at a subconscious level. So I'll take you quickly through this so we can understand in images what I mean when I talk about the subconscious and the power of the subconscious mind. This represents the mind. This represents the body. The body, of course, makes actions, and the actions provide us with results. Let's divide the mind in 2 different areas. The top part is going to be the conscious mind. That's where you consciously make decisions. And the subconscious mind, that's where your self-image or your paradigms reside. Believe it or not, almost 98% of your decisions are based on the information that you have here at a subconscious level. So basically, you are experiencing the outside results because of the information that you have inside. So this is an equation where the results equal the information that you have at a subconscious level. So what do most people do when they want to change? They go and start pushing on a process, really hard. But they haven't changed what is inside. So this is as if we have a plane. You know that there's the automatic pilot. The pilot, once they take off, they could go and sleep if they just selected the coordinate, or the place they want to get to, and he could go to sleep and the plane will fly by itself. If there's a sudden flow of air that deviates the airplane, immediately the deviation will be detected and the automatic pilot will return to its original place. And it will eventually land on the area that it was programmed to. Well, that's how our subconscious mind works. So if you don't change the inside and you start to make a change from the outside, the system will detect this is not consistent with who I am. So what happens is it will bring you back to where you were. That's called self-sabotage. I'll give you a quick example. I think you have heard that lottery winners, after 5 years, they don't have any money left. That's because the outer circumstances changed, but they didn't change the way they are. So they keep overspending and using a lot of money in places that they are not supposed to. So at the end, they finished the same or even worse than when they won the prize. That's because they didn't change in the inside. They changed in the outside, so they became the same in their previous circumstances. I don't know if that makes any sense. Okay. So how do we change? We need to create a new self-image. A new self-image means that you have to focus on your results as if you we're already experiencing them. Remember about the image of the book where I was signing it? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Don't focus on whatever you have right now, because I'll explain at the end why that is not a good idea. Focus on what you really want, create an image, and let's see how it goes. Remember how you can create a paradigm, right? Authority, intensity, repetition. So how can we modify a paradigm? Authority, intensity, repetition. Who will be the authority from now on in your life? Of course. Is it going to be your mom or your dad or your classmates who bullied you, or yourself? Well, there's a point where we have to decide, okay, this is my life. From now on, I'm making the decisions. The second one is emotion, and the third one is repetition. So emotion is you have to create an image that is almost magic, and you focus on it. It doesn't matter if it doesn't exist. You just bring it to your mind, and what do you think? The person who designed that, did they base it on something that was already present? No. It was an idea, and this idea mixed with emotion and repetition 3 times a day. That's in the morning when you wake up. That's in the night before you go to sleep. And the third one is any moment during the day where you can go outside of whatever you're doing and you close your eyes and you're focused and you're living inside of your system with every fiber of your being. The final result, that's when magic starts to happen, because this is what's going to happen every time you repeat this. The new self-image will take possession of the subconscious mind. And once it has gone there, then your body is going to change, your actions will stop, your results, of course, will disappear, and new actions for new results are what are coming. And this is the final picture that you should have. Yourself lifting your hands with full success. So what are the drivers for change? There are only 2 drivers for change. The first one is to gain pleasure, and the second one is to avoid pain. Those are the primary reasons why we make decisions. There's a point where you have heard people hit rock bottom, and they say, I'm not willing to do this anymore, and they change. Okay, that's because they want to move away from pain or gain pleasure. So I'll give you some examples of our patients. She was, I'm not going to use their real names, of course, and this is not the real picture as well, so it's okay. She wanted to become a CrossFit competitor, and that was her motivation, gaining pleasure. The second one, and it was actually to this ship that she was coming where she was going to turn 40 years old. She wanted to use a 2-piece bathing suit. That was her motivation. That's what made her change. Leonardo wanted to have enough energy or excess energy to play with his kid, because he didn't at that point, but that was his vision. This lady here, as she admitted, she is the best in what she does. She's a consultant, but she didn't think her body went to that same level as her intellectual, so she wanted to make the match, and that's what motivated her to move. So that's another one. This guy, he wanted to run his first marathon when he was 43 years old, so he made the change. This lady wanted to start running with her husband, so she started to lose weight because of that, and I'll tell you why this is so important. By the way, if you're focused on losing weight and, I don't know, losing 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 20 pounds, I'll tell you, you will not get very far. You need to have an emotional element attached to that weight loss, if that's your goal, right? Otherwise, you're going to fail because there's not much emotion in numbers. You need to attach your mind to something that will really hit your emotions. That's why I'm giving you these examples. This guy, for any of you that are Catholics, there's this Santiago de Compostela walk in Spain. Is a really long journey, so they wanted to prepare for that. My client, Roberto. This girl, she had a wardrobe that she was not using for a long time, and she wanted to use those clothes again. And these two brothers, doctors, they wanted to improve their times in Ironman, and that's why they got motivated, and they did it in Barcelona in 2019. They broke their own records. This lady here wanted to be present for her daughter when she would get married. Of course, her daughter was 8 years old, but she wanted to hold herself until that time. That was her goal, gaining pleasure. This is a teacher, dance teacher, who wanted to become an example for her little girls, and she was overweight, and she didn't want to transfer that to them. And that's me with my son. So I'll tell you my personal goal. I want to be 100 kilograms. That's about 220 pounds. Why? I just told you numbers, but remember, numbers are not that appealing. Why do I want to do that? Because I want to become an example for my son. Remember, little kids don't learn what you want them to learn. They learn what they see. And I want to show him a different reality in terms of health, in terms of physical ability. So I want to become muscular and strong. And that's me on your left. I was 183 pounds. And after setting that goal, I came up to 204 pounds, and my goal is 220. But why do I want to do that? Because I want to be the example for my son. And I want him, because I didn't have that with my dad. Now, the sad thing is that he was talking to me about John Cena the other day, so I think it's going to be impossible to get there. Did you know about John Cena? But anyways, the other one is avoiding pain. So this lady here, she was really, her pain was that she couldn't even get her pants to close. The other one was she wasn't able to face the mirror before she started crying because she wouldn't recognize herself. This other lady, she had migraine headaches for 15 years, every day. And she changed, and she doesn't have any migraine headaches anymore. This girl had a pretty abusive relationship with her husband, and by changing herself, by losing weight and getting strong, what she was willing to do was getting out of that relationship, which she finally did. This girl, she said, the moment where I decided to change was when I was in Miami with my husband and my son, and we asked somebody to take a picture of us in these towers were the guys that go and help people when they're drowning. What is it? Lifeguards. Yeah. And when they were about to get the picture, she found herself hiding behind her son because she didn't like to being taken pictures because she didn't like her body. This other one was fatigued all the time. The moment this guy in 2019 was after he went to a trip with his son, his six-year-old son, and the defense on the roller coaster cart wouldn't close. So they were not allowed to go in, both of them. You know, that painful moment was his moment. He said, I will never be part of my son not enjoying things in life. People being bullied. We had many that Say, I don't want to have sexual relationships with my husband because I don't like my body and I don't want him to see me naked. Simple as that. Painful. They change. This guy, he was a presenter for a company that sells health products, but he was overweight. It was painful for him that his colleagues were all the time telling him that you don't represent the brand. So he decided to change. Let's go to the self-sabotage, because here it is the really nice, important thing. Have you ever, any of you, suffer from an ankle sprain? Okay. Have you ever almost suffered from an ankle sprain, where you almost have it, but something happened in your system that protected you? Okay, I studied physical therapy as well. And there's an interesting system that we have in our receptors that whenever they feel excessive pressure, the rest of the muscular system will deactivate so you don't keep putting the weight over something that is about to break. So that's your body protecting you from pain. And that's in our system. Our body's main goal is to protect you from pain. So what happens when pleasure equals pain? Here is the part of the lecture where this might hit you. I'll give you some real examples of patients. Let's take the example of the woman that wanted to go to the cruise when she was in her 40th birthday with some friends, and she wanted to use a two-piece bathing suit. Let's use that as an example. So when pleasure, you're going towards pleasure, but the path that will take you towards pleasure equals pain subconsciously, at a subconscious level, you will immediately deviate and you won't know why. And self-sabotage is, you know what to do, you know how to do it, but you don't do it. Why? Why is that? Here it is. So she decides to change. She knows that she's going to go on a ketogenic lifestyle. But when you eat saturated fat, you die from a heart attack. That's her inner belief. Immediately, self-sabotage. And she doesn't know why. It's a deep belief. The second one, you go on a ketogenic lifestyle and people start attacking you. And since we're social animals, we don't like being attacked. So it's easier for her to stop doing whatever she's doing because it's painful to keep doing it. So she self-sabotages. The third one, carbs are necessary for the muscles, for the brain, for the metabolism. That's your inner belief. You start doing this, but at the end, there's something inside of you telling you, but carbs are necessary, but I'm still doing this. But carbs are necessary. And all of a sudden, you stop and you don't know why. This is from one of our patients whose grandmother, who was her mother because her mother left her, she would give her cookies to show her her love. And going into keto meant that she wouldn't have cookies anymore. Therefore, she would not be experiencing her grandmother's love. Instantly, self-sabotage. We detect this and we change it, of course, but what I want to tell you is how these different examples make people stop what they are doing. This other lady, she started and she had this attachment, which is okay. Exercise and nutrition go together. So every time you go on a diet, you also have to do exercise. And she is a single working mom with 3 daughters. So inside her, what it meant is, okay, I'm starting this new diet, which means I have to exercise because they go together. And exercising means that I'm not going to give quality time with my daughters because I need to be exercising instead of being with them. Immediately, self-sabotage. This girl, she said, you don't have an idea of how much money I have spent in my clothes. They represent me, but they were size 16. Whenever she started a diet, it happened 5 times. She knew that she was going to lose weight. And she would have to get rid of all the clothes that she had bought to that point. And she was not willing to do that at a subconscious level. So she self-sabotaged. This one, facing the reality of being able to have another relationship. And you learn, because it was painful the last time you had a relationship, that relationships hurt. You start losing weight, you make yourself more attractive, and of course you want to protect yourself from getting there, because being more attractive means being in a relationship, and you don't want that, because relationships, inner beliefs, relationships are painful. This woman we had as a patient, she started losing weight, and her husband got suspicious, and he was telling her, "You're doing this because you like somebody from your work." And he started pushing her to the point where she stopped doing whatever she was doing. "Your cheeks are gonna fall if you lose weight. Oh, you look too skinny. You're sick. You must be sick. You look too skinny. You must be sick. Stop losing weight because you look sick." People don't want to face those kinds of comments. This other one, this lady was faced every day when she was 8 or 9 years old with the scale from her mom, watching her. If she was gaining weight, she would get punished. So she grew a trauma. And every time she would come to, there was an appointment with us, she would keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And to the point where I asked her, "What's going on?" And she said, "Well, this is what happened." So she would get in fear and anxious every time she would go into her office because there was a scale. And that immediately triggered something inside of her, so she self-sabotaged. And the last one, because I'm out of time. Girls being told by their mom, "You need to lose weight." They start doing it because they want to be, they want to do what their moms are telling them, but they are not really motivated. So they start, and at the end, they finish overweight, with more weight, because they want to make a statement that your idea is not what I want. I do what I want. I'm on a diet. Don't do a diet. Make a lifestyle change, because diets are painful. And whenever you're faced with something that is painful, your body will resist. And the last one, why doing a diet if you're going to get the weight back? Right? The yo-yo effect. Why going on a diet if you're going to get your weight back? Well, of course, if you go back to your old habits, you're going to get your weight back. That's how it works. So we need to change our mindsets. And thank you very much. I'm out of time. Thank you.